Hey everybody, this is Grace. Pardon the way I'm doing the video. It's during the pandemic and I'm not going anywhere. Plus it's been raining, as you may be able to tell. This video, I'm going to talk about narcissistic in-laws, toxic people, toxic in-laws. And some would call narcissistic. I'm not diagnosing anybody. Read the disclaimer in the description box below this video on YouTube. But this one concerns like a family, the whole in-law family. Not some people think in-laws are just the parents, but no, sisters, brothers-in-law, sisters-in-law, cousins-in-law. It can be extended family, and it could be like the family's custom. They're like the family's, like an extended family, it's their culture even. Some might even go there. It's a full culture. Just the way they behave, what's their norm, and it's like a normalization of narcissism with them. That is their norm. And I'm going to give an example. I just something just reminded me of this. On this channel, I have done videos about in-laws. I was telling stories about Adam's, I don't like to say Adam's family, but some of his family members. Not all of them, of course, are bad, but there was one, and I did a whole series, or the series continued for probably a couple of years, and while I was dealing with one of his only sister, and not just the sister, but and I've had experiences with some of his family. They have a large extended family, and some of them are really close, and I have had years. I mean, I've known him as of this month for 39 years, almost 40 years, and some of his family members, and oh boy. But now some of them, they live in different parts of the United States. Some of them live overseas in different, not even overseas, but just in different countries. I really don't know where they all live. They live in a variety of places, and they have a variety of ways of thinking, and where some of it's, you pick up where you live, and and some of them are really bad about what the topic on this one is, the way they treat women. Okay, now from city to city, town to town, house to house, country to country, state to state, whatever, these can differ. The views on the differences, and how men and women should be treated, sexism galore, depends on where you are, how deep it can be, and so on and so forth. And but I was just reminded of this, so let me get to that. So Adam's working today. He works from home. He's a few years older than I, and I'm the homemaker, and I'm not working out, working outside the home and everything. And I've been doing most of the cooking, during this pandemic and all. And he will every once in a while. Well, he makes better spaghetti than I do. Okay, and he wanted spaghetti today. I said, "Oh, so you're gonna make it? Because you know how mine tastes. Mine is awful. I mean, just downright awful. No, all these years I've been making it, it's awful." And I don't go too deep into cooking, but I'm not that into it. And anyway, so he said he would, but then I was walking in the other room, and he was walking in the other direction to go back to where his office. He has his little office now, and I was going to where mine is, and I didn't see his face, but he said, "Just lay out everything for me." I'm like, I didn't comment. I just, I don't know whether he thought it was funny or no. I did comment. I said, "It's all in there," and I kept walking. And anyway, that reminded me somehow. Then I went in there. And I actually thought, okay, I am going to lay stuff out because I want certain stuff. Well, it wasn't even that. It was that, I didn't want him using certain stuff. Okay, he has a bad habit of doing this. I'll go into that's a whole different video. So anyway, so I did. I was going to I cleaned up some stuff and everything, and put out what kind of things, because I also had changed some of the things that we use. You know, lower salt and low or no salt added, and all. Anyway, so anyway, while I was cleaning, it reminded me of something that Adam's sister did when she was visiting. She doesn't live in this country, and she had never been in this country. And when she visited, I can't remember exactly how long it was, but I think she was at our place for some months, and I think she was supposed to be here for 6 months. And she stayed sometime at ours and sometimes at his 2 different brothers, and she was bad. I had known her basically only through after we first got married. I was young, and I knew her basically through handwriting letters back in those days before emails and stuff, such. And that's basically it. And he talked to her over the phone and something like that. But really, I hadn't had much to do with her in a long while. And she had really annoyed me one year. We used to send them stuff because they didn't have that same kind of stuff where she lived. And I remember sometimes we just didn't have, enough money to buy ourselves stuff, and they wanted certain things, certain kind of material, to make clothing with, certain types. And I'd go out and find it and buy it. And they liked certain kinds of candies that we had, and they didn't have, this kind of thing. And they would send us stuff too. But they are basically, they're well enough off, some of them are wealthy, just downright wealthy. So it wasn't anything to them, but to us, we were struggling. We were young, and we were just getting out on, married and struggling, as some do. So it was a big thing for us. Okay, anyway, it was a big thing for us to have to go and buy stuff. They wanted things, sometimes like tennis shoes for their kids. And so buying them things took away from us buying us things. But every once in a while we would do it. And one time I did something. I sent her a shirt and asked her, if this was the size, because the size would be different, how it is. And it was an older shirt, and I just sent it to her, so I didn't go out and buy a new one. And she got so very angry that I did that. She's, basically because she had to pay a tax on it or something, and she was so livid. And I thought, that's it. And I don't think I ever bought him anything again. No, I don't think I did. Screw that. When you're taking away from yourself to buy them such, and they have all this money and everything. So, but I should have known then. I should have known from that one experience. But see, I used to always think, give them a second chance. Nothing ever happened after that because I just didn't bother anymore. And I think we did when like somebody was visiting in their family, and they were going to go back and give them something, and maybe we did something like that. Adam would. But anyway, me, I just kind of lost interest in having anything to do with her. They have a lot of family. So there were other ones, that were much more pleasant. But I didn't really see it deep enough until she came here and I met her in person for the first time. And that was 2017, I think. I think it was the end of 2017. This month, I think, in fact. Anyway, she was holy terror. I called her Tara. I gave her, for videos, I gave her a fake, a pseudonym. I always do. I never give real names ever. And I called her Tara. And Tara the Terrible. Holy Terror. Like T-A-R-A, but yeah, it depends on how you pronounce it. Anyway, yeah, I had to give a little background. But the things she would do were some of them were so petty. And I went through doing videos about when people are petty, and some people say, well, that's so petty. You should be above it all. You should, they turn you're the one who's being abused, or abuse is not only physical, but they're going to turn around on you and say it's you. You should be above all that. You should play the high, you should take the high road or whatever. They're going to that's turning it around. That's blaming the victim. Okay, and they do petty stuff, and they say, it's just something petty. Don't let it worry you. No, it could be something petty, but the purpose isn't. The purpose behind it is not. It's quite often about power and control over you. Okay, and sometimes it's just sick games that they get a thrill out of. And on and on. It doesn't have to be either one of those or both or anything. There are different reasons why. Why. And like I always said, it's petty. It could be a petty action, but it's the purpose behind it that's important. And her behaviors, oh my goodness. So let me get back to this now to what I was reminded of. Well, when she was here, she often, she wanted to go shopping all the time. Well, she didn't want to spend her money. I don't, what is the word when you take the money and you, like it's not the same as U.S. dollars and they, whatever that word is. Why can't I remember what that word is? She didn't, it wouldn't be that much. So, and it's not a big deal to Adam, but it was really ticking me off, that she felt so free to spend his money. And, spend the money that once again we could use for ourselves, you see. And it's not a big deal to him. We went through troubles, but we worked ourselves up, a lot of years. And so she just felt so free. And so she always wanted to go shopping. Anytime I went somewhere, she wanted to go with me. And believe me, it was very annoying for me. I would like to go out and get away from her, So, my blood pressure went so high during that time. One time, it was really bad. And eventually, if you've watched me back then, eventually, she had left and then came back, and I said, she was just doing that whole thing of just tearing in and just, what is the, boy, I need my caffeine this morning. It just turned afternoon. But she was digging in, okay. She was trying hard to make my life miserable, and Adam was like, I think he was not really blind to it, but he was just in shock because he hadn't been around her that much either, and he was in shock. Her age is between ours and mine and his, but like I said, in shock that she was behaving this way and couldn't believe it. And I was like, it's not my circus, not my monkeys. I'm not going to correct her, to there was a little bit of a language barrier, and I wasn't at all going to get involved in that, the whole family thing and all this. But at the same time, I thought, that's wrong. I need to tell her, let's not go there. Tell her where to go, basically, and really dig back in. But I got so tired of it, and I just took a vacation. I did. I left, packed up some stuff, left, went for, I think, 10 days. And boy, when I had left from there, I was so angry. I called Adam, and I let him have it too. I had gotten so sick of it. And I didn't go very far. I just went to a different part of this big city. And really, there's plenty of, it was a totally different world, really, where I went. And the hotel wasn't all that great, but it had a little, it had enough that I needed, what I needed at the time. And I was just so glad to get away. So I keep giving background when I'm trying to get to this one story. Okay, so I can go with my flow. Okay, anyway, so when we would go shopping and everything, she'd go with me anytime I wanted to go. She just loved it because she was going to put stuff in the back, the shopping cart for herself. And she wound up leaving a lot of stuff here too, really. Anyway, so one time here's the story. When we're going and doing all this shopping and everything, and I needed to stop and get gas in my SUV. and it was my SUV, and she was, yeah, with me. So I got to the, I call them stalls, the pump. This big place, kind of big place. And I think it was real windy or something, and, wrapping my hair around my head, and I had long hair then. I cut it recently, had it cut right before the pandemic. It was kind of a little bit shoulder length then. Anyway, so it was just, I think that's what it was. That's what I remember, wrapping around my head. It was really irritating. So I just put enough in until another day, I could go, and it wasn't quite so windy. And I told her, what had happened. And I don't know when it was, that day, the next day, whenever it was, Adam came up and he told me, he says, why did you go and put gas in your car, in your SUV, and not fill it up? I said, what? I was like, what are you talking about, And it didn't occur to me. I think it may have, but at first I was kind of like, And, yeah, that woman told him, okay, his sister, told him that I dared to do that, and that he deserved to know what I was doing. Seriously. Now, we're in her little corner of the world, you could say, like I said earlier, it could be just part of their family, how they are. They develop this kind of culture. Where she lives, it could be something like that. When I hear stories about, different parts of the family where they lived in, like I said, different places, and the way that they saw women or family or whatever, I was like, no, that might be just more of your family does that. Okay. But to her, he needed to know what bad stuff I was up to. Oh my God. Really, didn't fill up my SUV when I went to get gas. And that is something he deserved to know, and that he needed to chastise me about. That's her attitude. Her attitude is that the woman has to answer to the man in a relationship. Seriously, I'm not kidding. And one time I told Adam, I said, well, let me call her husband and let him know. Of course I wouldn't do that. That's not me. That's not the way I see it at all. But can you imagine someone tattling on a woman in her 50s? And it doesn't matter if you're in your 20s, your teens, unless you're a child, that's a totally different story. But something like that? Really? Okay. Anyway, really, that was just a little bit of an example. Seriously. And this whole thing of petty, like I mentioned before, plus when they keep doing petty things, they're just pushing your buttons and pushing your buttons. They're hoping you go off. And finally, I did go off. I went on vacation. It was so enjoyable. It was so restful. It was like having a piece, like a different life for a little while. I think I came back a night or so, or whatever was going on. And I come back and things like the doors wouldn't be locked. Really. And along that line, it's like, oh my God. Yeah. And, but like I said, I think it was 10 days, maybe 11 days, I don't know. And, but I had just had enough. And then when she left, she had that narcissistic smirk on herself again. And, she said, I hope I didn't cause you too much problems. She wanted to cause me problems. Like I said, she had that narcissistic smirk. But anyway, I used to focus this channel mainly on that kind of stuff, and some of it was videos that I made that I wasn't too sure about, and I really need to narrow it down to what I do on this channel. And I've said that in other videos because I'm kind of going over my options in a way. But I think in-laws, I've had enough experience in in-laws and know people who've had experiences with in-laws, some bad, some good, but the bad ones are going to be mainly what I talk about. And these can be things like I said, like sisters-in-law or brothers-in-law or cousins-in-law. Yeah. And And what your own family, like my own family, I tend to say you when I mean me, my own family, what, they might do, or the kind of in-laws like my sisters, their husbands, or, something like that. There are a lot of stories you can tell about in-laws, a lot of examples, yeah. But anyway, maybe I should just stick to that. I gotta stick to something eventually after all these years. But anyway, that's another video. But anyway, I'm gonna wrap this one up though, and I'll talk to you on another video.